Yeah, I think we're live now. I'm gonna show the video.
Are you looking for a university to fit your journey?
From all across this planet, we've heard from alumni who have had their lives changed by a school that prioritizes education, not just the granting of degrees.
A school built on the values of discovery, critical thinking, innovation, individuality, and community.
Your education is part of your journey. Come discover your strengths and passions and develop the skills you need to build a bright future in whichever direction you choose. Quest University. Elevate your future. It all started with an idea to do university differently, to transform how students think, question, and engage with the world.
To open up young minds and lead them forth so that they have the tools, the capacity, the will, the grit to confront and to conquer the daunting challenges this new millennium presents.
Education is very important, not only for our community, but for all our communities. And that's what Quest means to me.
Guided by these principles, we've continued to approach education in new and meaningful ways. From all across this planet, we've heard from alumni who've had their lives changed by a school that prioritizes education, not just the granting of degrees. Those who work, study, or support Quest recognize that education is a journey, not just a destination. It's a process, one that takes time, effort, and dedication. It is by loving the process of learning and through discovering their strengths and passions that students are able to develop the kinds of skills required to build a bright future in whichever direction they choose. There are no wrong routes when it comes to the diverse paths students may take in the process of reaching the summit of their dreams. Just as it was in the founding days, we desire to see students equipped to rise above the standards of the traditional education. We desire to see students' lives changed so that they can go out and make world-changing impacts themselves. Quest University. Elevate your future.
Are you looking for a university to fit your journey?
From all across this planet, we've heard from alumni who have had their lives changed by a school that prioritizes education, not just the granting of degrees.
A school built on the values of discovery, critical thinking, innovation, individuality, and community.
Your education is part of your journey. Come discover your strengths and passions and develop the skills you need to build a bright future in whichever direction you choose. Quest University. Elevate your future.
All right. Hello, everyone. thank you for spending your time to join our live stream today with Quest University. Today, I'm so honored to introduce to you one of our guest speaker, Mr. Colin Bogoski, Executive Director of Admission from Quest University. So, Colin, can you say hi, introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be presenting with GSP and Trisha. It's a delight for me to represent Quest University, and I'm very proud to be a representative of our school. I have been living and working here in Squamish, the community that we live in at Quest University. We are just about 45 minutes north of Vancouver. And many of you may know Vancouver on the west coast of Canada. And we are just outside of the big city on the west coast. And as you may have seen from the video, our environment and our location is surrounded by natural beauty. And I think this is a large part of the experience here at Quest.
Yes, I'm also amazed by the view as well. So, all right, I'll give it to Colin to give you a little bit of overview of the university. So I'm going to share the slide right now. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay, I think we are good now. Over to you, Colin.
Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of history, just to give you some context. Now, when I say a little bit of history, that's because we are very young. We were founded in 2007, so we just celebrated our 10th anniversary of the first graduating class from Quest this past year. And in 2007, we were lucky enough to be able to build on hundreds of years of experience from everyone who was part of the founding of our university. Now, if we move on to the next slide, I can talk a little bit about the founding president. His name was David Strangway. And previous to founding Quest University, he was the principal and vice chancellor of the University of British Columbia, and previous to that, the University of Toronto. So he came from two of the top universities in Canada, both which are ranked in the top 50 universities in the world. But he wanted to create a university that was focused on undergraduate studies. Many traditional universities and large universities in Canada and in North America, they focus so much of their resources on graduate level studies that the undergrad experience is less than perfect. So he wanted to create an independent, not-for-profit liberal arts university where students focus on undergraduate studies only. So we do not offer graduate studies at Quest. We only focus on undergraduate studies. And within that, we only have one major. We have one degree, and that is a Bachelor of Arts and Sciences. For those of you who are not familiar with a liberal arts education, liberal arts is a very broad and not specialized education where you learn everything from mathematics and physical sciences to social sciences, humanities, and languages. So we are creating an environment for you to find your path in life by pursuing a number of different courses that teach you to think in many different ways. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. There are three unique differences at Quest University that I'm going to talk about today. The first one is that we have very small class sizes. The second we run a block schedule. And the third, we have no majors at our university. Instead, we offer a question. And this question is developed by you, the student, to pursue something that you are passionate about, something that is meaningful and relevant to you. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about each of these for you. So let's start with small class sizes. This is extremely important because when we look back at the traditional or conventional university model, undergraduate students, especially in their first and second years, are often given classes in a lecture-style lecture hall, where you could be with 400 other students learning from one professor talking on a stage. Now, this model of education is old-fashioned. Okay, it's not an effective model for engaging students and also understanding the learning that each student is going through. So instead of lectures, at Quest, we offer discussion-based learning. And even with 20 students, it can be a challenge to have a discussion. So what we often do is the professor that we call a tutor here at Quest, because they don't profess to people, they guide people. They tutor students to learn. And with this discussion-based model, we often break out into smaller groups where the professor will provide a question, a problem, or a discussion topic for the class members to discuss amongst themselves. Now, what we're essentially doing here is we're teaching you skills that you will be using in any career that you enter after graduation. So for example, we talk about the 4 C's of education: communication skills, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Now, these 4 skills are in demand in all industries, in particular in management. So for those of you who are looking to progress in your career, often this leads to a management level position. And by developing these skills every day in our classes, every day for 4 years, we really strengthen these skills so that when you go into the workforce, you are very proficient in these 4 areas. Okay? Of course, we teach more than just these 4 skills, but these are constantly practiced every day in our discussion-based learning classes. Okay? Even the shyest of all students will find their voice here at Quest. We encourage everyone to share their ideas because we don't believe that there's one teacher in every class. We believe that there's up to 20 teachers in every class. Okay? So we can learn from each other. At university, students are very intelligent. They come from all walks of life, from all areas of the world. Now, currently, we have 44 countries represented here at Quest. So when we break out into our breakout groups in our discussion classes, we can learn perspectives from students from around the world. We share ideas and we share our culture. We share perspectives so that we can learn to approach problems in life, not linearly, but from a 360-degree perspective where we can look at these problems from a number of different points of view. This is also what a liberal arts education does. Thinking in terms of mathematics, or in chemistry, or in literature, or psychology. These are all different ways of looking at life. And this is what we're doing at Quest. So the small class size is integral to the student experience. Now, not only are the classes small, but the university itself is also small. We have a maximum capacity of 750 students. So students really get to know one another, and the relationships that you can build are strong and meaningful. Now, when we go back to the lecture-based learning, where you're in a class with 400 students in a different country where you know no one, it's a real challenge to make friends in such a large environment. So coming to Quest, we're a small community. We're a community of like-minded individuals with a passion for learning and who are interested in learning about other people. So this is where the small class sizes really impact the student experience that you have every day. Now, the second key point that I wanted to talk about here on the next slide is the block plan. The block plan is where students will study one course at a time. And instead of taking 4 or 5 courses over one semester, we take one course for 3.5 weeks. We study for 3 hours every day, Monday to Friday. And after 3.5 weeks, you finish that course and you move on to the next course. So for you as a student, you don't have to multitask. You don't have to compromise one class for another class that's worth more marks or that's more challenging. You only focus on one course. So this allows you to immerse yourself in this one subject. Okay? And so this also allows you and your classmates to really get to know one another. When we combine the small classes with the block plan, you spend 3 hours every day of the week with your classmates for almost a month. So you really get to know each other. This is important because it creates a safe and positive learning environment for you, where you don't have to be afraid to share your opinions. In fact, you are encouraged to share difference of opinions because this is where we learn. If everybody thinks the same way, it's boring. You don't learn anything because everyone's just like you. But when we have a diverse class that all has different ideas, this is where we learn different perspectives. We learn about each other. And the more we know about each other, the less we fear. The less we fear, the less conflict we have in the world. So it's really important for us to learn about each other, and being immersed together in the block plan schedule really allows for these relationships to flourish. Okay, now it's not easy taking one course in 3.5 weeks. There's a lot of work involved, but it's not much different than trying to balance 5 courses at once. There's a lot of work involved in that too. But with the block plan, you only have to focus on one subject for those 3.5 weeks. Now, the third key difference here at Quest is, like I mentioned before, we don't have any majors. And for some people, that's really difficult to understand. Okay? Think about a buffet restaurant. You don't have to eat one dish. You can eat lots of different foods. And that's like Quest. We don't tell you you have a limited option of what to study. Your pathway is as different and as diverse as you are. In 14 years, we have never had 2 students follow the same pathway. Okay? And this is also why we have to keep our university small, because each student works very closely with a professor to develop what we call a question. This question is what you focus on for your last 2 years. And you pursue this question, doing research, creating projects which answer the question. And so what we're doing here is we're creating a personalized pathway of learning, so that something that you are passionate about, something that is relevant to you, becomes your learning path. So let me give you an example. Maybe my question is very general, like, what is love? What does love mean? At Quest, you still study a number of different courses with other students, each pursuing their own question. But what we're doing is looking at our question from different perspectives. So take, for example, maybe I'm going to be studying in my first term psychology, political science, chemistry, and Spanish. Well, if my question is, what is love? When I study psychology, I'm thinking about how does love affect our behavior? How do we act differently when we're in love? Maybe with political science, I'm thinking about love of my country, or patriotism, nationalism, love of my community. Maybe with literature, I'm going to focus on a romantic story that explores the complexities of love. And maybe with Spanish, likewise, I'm going to be focusing on work in Spanish that relates to my question of love. Okay, now that's a very general question. If I take a look at a more specific question, like how do we create sustainable food systems in our community? Now with this one, while I'm taking my political science course, I'm also thinking about how politics and both federal, local, municipal, and even state or provincial governments, how that is going to affect how our food systems are managed and how we get food to our table. With psychology, I'm thinking about, okay, well, what is our relationship with food? How does this affect our thinking, right? In terms of where does our food come from? And is this something that we even think about? Okay, so the point here is that when you develop your own question, we are looking at it from different perspectives. So again, we're getting a 360-degree perspective of our question. Okay, and at the end of 4 years, we present what we call a keystone presentation. And that keystone presentation is like the defense of a master's thesis, but we're doing this at the undergraduate level. So in contrast to most universities where you declare a major is simply a collection of classes in one subject. Well, we want something more meaningful than that. We want something that you can take with you. And when you leave Quest University, you have a specialization in a certain field. This specialization can open up opportunities in further studies at the grad level, like a master's degree or a PhD, or it can open up opportunities as a career. We had a Mexican student, for example, whose question was, how can we ensure every village has safe drinking water? Now, he is back in Mexico, and he is running a nonprofit organization bringing safe drinking water to villages across Mexico. So what he studied at university created his career back home. So this is the power of your question. This is something that you can create a living doing. In other situations, we had one student who studied neuroscience here at Quest. Now she is at Yale University studying a PhD. So she's going to become a doctor in neuroscience. And this is all based on her foundation here at Quest. So your question is a very important part of your studies and your education. This can open up doors in the future for you as a career or in further studies. Okay. Now let's move on to the next slide. So going into the Keystone presentation again, this can take many different forms. It can take a traditional academic format of an academic research paper, but it can also take an artistic format in terms of dance. We had one student who pursued storytelling through dance, and her final Keystone presentation was a choreographed dance performance. We've also had other students create art installations. We had one student who looked at shoes as a form of art. So the options are unlimited. And like I said, in 14 years, we've never had two students with the same question or the same Keystone presentation. So we are as diverse as our students are. Okay, next slide, please. When we look at the end of your time here at Quest, there are 5 key learning outcomes that we hope that you developed during your time here. And we developed these learning outcomes throughout the 4 years that you are here. This includes higher order thinking, so critical thinking, like we talked about before. We look at integrated learning. This can also take form of interdisciplinary studies. Okay, when we have no majors and no departments at our university, there's a lot of flexibility that this allows. And instead of having all of our math teachers sharing office space together, all of our psychology teachers, all of our neuroscience teachers, we mix them together because when we look at interdisciplinary learning, there are some magical outcomes that can result from this. We are able to offer unique courses which challenge thinking. For example, we had a music teacher and a math teacher sharing an office together, and they ended up teaching a course called The Mathematics of Music. And this was all born out of a discussion one day where they were talking about similarities between their courses. And they came up with a course that talked about mathematics of music. And so this is where we look at integrated learning or interdisciplinary learning, okay? The communication outcome is based on everyday classes where we're talking and presenting with each other all the time. In fact, the second course that you take at Quest is called a rhetoric course. And in that, we practice presentations. We practice developing arguments, developing a perspective or a position or a point of view. And then we work on how do you communicate this perspective to other people. So communication skills is a key learning outcome that you will leave Quest very strong with. We look at multiple perspectives like we talked about before. This is that broad liberal arts education that we offer here. But we also look at yourself and your relationship to the world around you. This is the physical world around you, the social world, the economic, the political. So we're looking at multiple perspectives and how you fit in the world, okay? We want you to find your place. We want you to find your passion. And we want you to find a pathway that you can follow in life that's going to give you happiness and enrichment. Okay, next slide, please. Here on campus, we talked a little bit before about how small and how much of a community environment we have here. Now, all of our students live in residence. And our residence buildings are just a 1-minute walk to the academic building and about a 3-minute walk to the campus services building where we have our meal hall. So all students live on campus in residence and all students are part of the meal plan. Our meal plan here is a buffet style, all you can eat meal plan. So if you eat a little or eat a lot, you'll be satisfied here with many different options for every meal. Now, because people study, eat, live, and sleep on campus, we also offer a number of different opportunities for you to engage in life outside of your studies. Okay, we want you to find a balance between work, study, and play. And so we have a lot of different kinds of clubs and groups on campus that you can join to follow your passion. And if we don't have a club that you're interested in, we strongly encourage you to create a club for you and your colleagues. So there are lots of different opportunities. to join or create clubs on campus. Now, because of COVID, a lot of us are struggling. A lot of us have had challenges that we've never faced before in our lives, and there are new stresses and new anxieties that we have to face. So health and wellness have really taken a really important part in our lives here on campus. So here at Quest, we have full-time counselors that are available to speak with you at any time. We have a lot of different wellness activities to keep you healthy and fit, ranging from yoga classes to circuit training exercise to soccer and ultimate frisbee and rugby on campus. So we have a lot of activities to keep you balanced and keep you healthy. The Quest University Student Association, or CUSA, is a body of students for students. This is our student government body that advocates to the university on your behalf. They also sponsor a number of different events for you on campus. So this is both in terms of clubs, but also in terms of presentations, guest speakers, and also guest opportunities for you to participate in. So campus life here is well-rounded and designed to keep you as busy as you want to be. Next. So applying to Quest is pretty straightforward. We look at your application on a holistic basis, meaning we're not only looking at your grades, because some students, frankly, have exam anxiety. And when you place all of the importance on one exam on one day, it can mean the difference between getting into a university or not. So, of course, we're looking at the full body of your academic experience, but we also want to see that you have been involved in your community, on campus in your school, but also outside of your school in the society that you are part of. So we like to see that you have pursued personal interests as well, whether that be music or athletics or the arts. We really want to see who you are as a person. So you must graduate high school, of course. You must prove your language proficiency in English. And you can prove that through a TOEFL score, an IELTS score, Duolingo, the Cambridge exam systems, and the Pearson test of English as well. So all of these are ways for you to meet our English language proficiency. Now, another way that we can learn a little bit about you, both for admission into the school, but also for your professors to learn a little bit about you, is a personal essay. Okay, we want to know who you are, what motivates you, what are your goals? Because the more we can learn about you as our professors, the more we can connect with you on a personal level in the classroom. We can teach to you and to your interests. So applying happens online through our website. If you are applying directly, there is a link that you can click on the website itself, which will take you to our online portal. You would apply through there, and all the communications with the university, all your letters of offer, your letters of acceptance, they all come through the online portal. Okay, and all of that takes place online, where we upload all of our documents, and everything is assessed through the online digital format. Okay. Next.
I think it's
That's it. That's the last slide. So to summarize, here at Quest, we are different. We are different because we have studied everything that works and everything that doesn't work about universities. Our founding president talked to presidents from dozens of universities across the globe to find out what is working best for their students and what is old-fashioned and not working. And what we have done is we have the luxury of having decades of experience behind us, looking at the best models of education and where we are at today in society. So we are trying to bridge the gap between traditional education at universities and the workforce. And what does the workforce want universities to prepare students with? And what do students want in their university experience? And so that's what Quest has been able to create. So we're different, we're unique, and we are here for you and your experience in particular. So come to Quest and experience education for the 21st century.
Thank you so much, Colin. It's a very amazing presentation and pretty on time as well. I think now is the time. I saw some of the question is coming from our audience.
Right.
So everyone, if you have any questions for Colin, you feel free to type in the comment box, and we do have questions for you. We do have 3 questions. Colin has a nice suggest of a gift for you for each of the questions, if you can answer it right. But I will give you the questions after Colin answer all of your questions here. Okay.
Okay. So I see one question is, what are the most unique major combinations at Quest University? So I was actually speaking with our Vice President of Academics just yesterday about this. And while we have an unlimited number of pathways, there are some things that we do very well here, okay? Generally, we can talk about storytelling, okay? And storytelling is a very, very broad topic. Now, when we talk about storytelling, we're talking about sharing information, okay? And how the different ways that we can share information. So this is in terms of literature and the humanities. It's also in terms of social sciences. So we do that very well. We also, based on our environment that you may have noticed from the videos that we watched, we are surrounded by nature here. And nature is literally outside our front door. And so with the block format, you are with your students for a month. So there's no conflict with other classes. This allows us to go out into nature and study in the place where we're learning. And so if we're looking at oceanography as a course, we can go right down to the ocean. It's a 5-minute drive from the campus, and we can study the ocean at the ocean. Okay, if we're looking at biospheres, in fact, just today, our community here in Squamish was granted UNESCO World Heritage status for the ocean and the forests in Squamish here. So it's one of 19 places in Canada that is recognized by UNESCO for its special biosphere. So we're able to go out there into the community and study biology, study forestry, horticulture. We can study physics outside. We can do these things in our community. And so climate change is one of those key major focuses that we do very well here. Okay, so those are just a couple of them. When we look at some of the unique questions that our students had, like I mentioned before, I think the one of shoes as art and as a way of representing our personalities, that was a very unique one as well as that dance choreography we talked about. Now, some more practical questions is we had one student look at waste diversion. How can we minimize waste going to the landfill? And so this student created a recycling system on campus where we now recycle 95% of the waste on campus. And this was based on one of our students' questions. Another student wanted to look at music recording And as part of his question, the university created a recording studio so that he could pursue his question with the resources that he needed. So there are opportunities for you in the question that, or the major in this particular question from Annie, there is funding available for you to pursue very high level studies and with the resources that we can provide you here. So those are a couple of the unique questions that I think that you can pursue here at Quest.
Thank you. It's a very detailed answer. I have some questions from the Philippines. The first one is Philippines implemented the K-12 education just last 2011. Will you accept Filipinos who graduate with the old curriculum?
Well, they would need to supplement the old curriculum with some post-secondary study. We do require 12 years of education. So whatever that combination is, that's what we would require to meet that 12-year requirement.
Okay. Another question about the requirement from Philippines. Do you accept English as medium of instruction certificate from the previous university of the Filipino education?
Yes, we do. So if you have studied in an English-only environment for at least 3 years, we would provide you with a language proficiency waiver. So you would not require a TOEFL or IELTS or any of those other exams. We would accept the 3 years of full-time study in the English language as proof of English. So that's fine.
Yeah, I saw 2 questions, one from Vietnam, one from Philippines, but it's quite similar in terms of financial documents. So do you require financial documents upon school application, and what is the amount of deposit fee for the visa?
So we don't require financial documents. Unfortunately for international students, we don't provide bursaries, which is essentially free money. Bursaries are not available for international students, although we do have merit-based scholarships. So for those scholarships, there's no financial documents required for that. So no, we don't require you to provide us with any financial documents upon application.
And do you require deposit fee for the visa?
Yes. So once you've been offered admission to Quest, we require a $5,000 deposit, and this deposit is refundable if your study permit is refused, okay? But I want to explain a little bit why we require a $5,000 deposit, and that's because immigration officers who process visa applications, they want to ensure that you are a bona fide, legitimate student. And one of the ways they determine that is with a deposit of a significant amount of money, okay? And by putting down a $5,000 deposit on your education, the immigration officer sees that you're serious about that. So once you pay the $5,000 deposit, we will issue that letter of acceptance for you to use as part of your study permit application.
Yep. Thank you. Also, I have questions about scholarship. Is Quest offering any scholarship for international students now?
Yes, we do. We offer what's called a presidential scholarship. And in most years, it's about an 80% GPA, grade point average, or higher would receive the presidential scholarship. And that ranges anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000. This year, it was an $8,000 scholarship based on, all the struggles that we've had with COVID. We've also waived the application fee this year because of COVID as well. So we're trying to make it easier for students to attend Quest. So we always have the presidential scholarship. It has not been determined how much that will be for the 2022 academic year for next September. But I would imagine it's probably closer to the higher end as well. Now, I noticed that there was a comment about deposit fees for the student direct stream, the SDS visa.
Yeah.
So for that, it's required to pay 1 year's tuition fee. And at Quest, 1 year's tuition fee is $35,000 Canadian. Okay, so $35,000 would need to be paid for eligibility for the SDS stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have another questions. They're asking like, what if my student don't know how to make a questions? I think it is mean like do the newbie, the fresh student get like some student from Asians, like Vietnamese student is quite shy. How do they have? Do you have like a guideline, a set of like tutorial for students to make questions?
Absolutely. So the first two classes that all of our students take are Cornerstone and Rhetoric. Cornerstone basically teaches you how to learn. Okay. Many people aren't actually taught how to learn. You're just expected to learn. Okay. So Cornerstone teaches you how to learn. Rhetoric teaches you how to develop an argument, how to debate, how to present. And so in both of those, we're looking at examples of questions that students have created. So in those first 2 years of your study, these are what we call foundational years. And you are exposed to all of the students who are in their third and fourth year pursuing their questions. So there are a lot of examples for you to follow from the students who have come before you. We also, in our library, have copies of every one of our Keystone presentations since 2007. So for those are accessible for you to look at to get ideas. There's also opportunities to speak with any of our professors at any time. So if there's a certain concentration that you're interested in, and that's what we call our third and fourth year courses, our concentration courses. So you are able to meet with any of those professors and say, okay, listen, I'm interested in psychology and I want to pursue something related to psychology. And you can have a discussion with your professor to narrow that down. And maybe it comes down to, well, I love animals and I really like dogs, for example. So maybe your question is going to be related to the psychology of dogs and how dogs communicate to humans or something like that. And that comes through discussions with your professor. And all of our professors have open door policies where they have office hours where you can come in and just sit down and talk without an appointment. And so even if you're in your first year and you're thinking about your question, you can go in and meet with a professor one-on-one and talk about that early on. But there's lots of guidance provided by the professors and your classmates as well. Talk with your classmates, ask them what they're doing. And they can give you some advice on that as well.
Okay, thank you, Colin. I see more questions coming in, but we're kind of like sort out of time. So I think I'll gather all of those questions and get back to Colin for the answer and then give back to you guys. So everyone, are you ready for questions from us to get some prize from Colin? Yeah, I think I want to share my screen. Okay, so here's how we do it. You type the questions number and your answer. Okay, the first question. Where is Quest University located? You just type in the comment box. 1, A, Windsor, Vancouver, Squamish, or Toronto? Oh, get one correct answer now. Wow, isn't easy. Isn't easy, but yeah.
Yeah, most people have it right. The answer is C, Squamish. Like I said, Squamish is a 45-minute drive from Vancouver. We have a gorgeous highway. It's called the Sea to Sky Highway. which takes you from Vancouver to Squamish along the ocean the entire way, and it's an absolutely gorgeous drive. So yes, we are located in Squamish, and in the Indigenous language, Squamish means mother of wind. So we are in a valley, and it can be a windy place some days, and that's where the name comes from.
All right. So we have quite many of people who answer the right question. So I'll pick the one with the fastest response. Is that right? So yeah. Okay. One C. So to the next questions. What is the teaching method at Quest University called? A, the academic, B, the foundation, C, the concentration, and D, the block plan.
What's a tricky one, isn't it?
This is quite tricky. Yeah. But if you have listened from Colin at the beginning of the presentation, he mentioned a few times. Oh, wow. A lot of people actually have the right
They got
answer.
it right. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. Everyone is focused on the presentation.
That's great.
So what is the right answer for this question?
The answer is the block plan, D.
Yeah. Okay. To the next question, the last one for your chance. It must be quick. What are the learning outcomes at Quest University? A, higher order thinking. B, integrated learning. C, communication. And D, all of the above. This is the last question and the last prize already. So you must be quick. Wow, everyone is so focused on your presentation.
That's fantastic. I'm amazed. You guys, most of you got it all right. The answer is D, all of the above.
Yeah.
That's
actually
great.
there's more outcomes, but I have limited option.
Yeah.
So you can, I can share to you all of the learning outcomes at Colin's presentation when we finish this live stream. Yeah, a lot of questions. There's the last one questions for you, Colin, before we finish our session. So what if the student want to transfer from another university to Quest? How do they apply for the credits they have done?
That's a really good question. In fact, this year, one of our institutional goals is to become as open to transfer as possible. Okay, so what we do here is initially, when you apply, you would submit official transcript, and our registrar would do a conditional assessment. And that she would look at the courses that you took and make an assessment, just as an initial assessment, how many credits you would receive. Then that just gives you an idea whether you want to continue to pursue transfer or not. Then there's the official policy, where once you have applied and have been accepted, then you would formally fill out a form, submit your course syllabus for each course you want credit for, and then we would send that to our curriculum committee of professors, who would then assess each of those course syllabuses for assigned credit equating to the courses that we offer here. So we encourage transfer. We can transfer up to 2 years of our 4-year degree. So that would be the first 2 years, and then you would enter into 3rd year if you've successfully completed those 2 years of full-time studies. So yes, we do encourage transfer, and I think there's a great opportunity for that as well.
Thank you so much. I think that's all of the questions we have, and we did enjoy the amazing presentation. And now we get more ideas of Quest University and the unique like opportunities at a university. So thank you so much, Colin, for spending your time and giving us more idea about the university. We're looking forward for our future session with you again. And thank you everyone from Vietnam, from the Philippines, and from Southeast Asia for spending your times with us. If you have more questions or you have any inquiries to Quest University or any questions to Colin, please let us know. We're happy to give you an answer.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy working with GSP and especially with you, Trisha. And I look forward to being able to answer your questions in the future. So feel free to pass those on to Trisha and she can forward them to me and we'll give you answers to all of your questions. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a sincere pleasure.
Thank you. Good night, Colin, and have a nice day to people in Southeast Asia. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.